Good morning. I'm sorry, it's not morning. Good evening. Good evening. It is 6 o'clock in the evening, Saturday, August 29th, 2020. And I would like to thank you so much for attending this rescheduled episode of When Life Needs a Detox. Hi, I'm Carol White. I am your life detox strategist. Now, I've got a few things I've got to do. Now, first of all, thank you, everyone, for your well wishes and your prayers for this past week. I had a really tough time with my vertigo, and I've got some neuromuscular issues that are going on. Made the broadcast for Thursday an impossibility, but I do not want to go this week without having a broadcast and without talking to you. So this is the rescheduled event. The second thing is, if you're trying to catch this on Facebook, for the time being, that's not going to happen. I found out that my last post had been rejected by Facebook because of the social and political issues. And now, in order to post anything of a social issue or a political nature, you must have their authorization. So I've applied for it, and they tell me it'll take 3 weeks. Isn't that something? And I have a list of, if you can bear with me, I am trying to get the reading materials to you guys, because I always like to give you the references. We're talking about history and racism. The one thing you do not want to do is to come out and not have your ducks in a row. You all don't like that. You don't like it at all. So there are a few more, if you can bear with me. Because this week is going to be very, very interesting. The topic is great, but I got to make sure that you have all of your information, because there's going to be someone. Okay, so now you're not working now. Okay, there you go. There you go. Someone will come back and tell me you're full of it. They might be right. Okay, I've just got 3 more to go. If you guys can just bear with me. I just want to make sure you guys get it all. All right. 2 more. And I'll be done. And last, final one. Yes. And there we have the last one. Yes, we have all reference material, all reading material for your edification and for your further research on today's topic, which is the Black racist. Is it possible for Blacks to be racist? Now, this is a new thing that's going around now, that Blacks are just as racist as whites. Let's test this now. Now, on July 18th, 2020, I ran an episode of the When Life Needs a Detox video blog entitled Racism in History: The Rise, Fall, and Subsequent Resurrections of the Ku Klux Klan, Part 2. Now, there were some interesting comments from white viewers, and I'm being polite when I refer to them as viewers. Their comments let me know that they hadn't watched the video at all. The two comments that most intrigued me were these from a Mr. Ricky Owens. Any mentions of the rise and falls of Black power or Black racists? If not, this is racist propaganda for Black racists. What can I say? Then there was one from a Mr. Michael Winters. Newsflash, the KKK also attacked Catholics and had a strong hatred for the Irish, which, in case you didn't know, are white and in America were treated worse than any Black slave. We're going to get to that one. We're going to get to that one. Let's deal with Mr. Owens first. Now, before we can discuss either one of these points, let's look at what racism is. Per the Webster's New World Dictionary, which has been copyrighted in 1970, 1972, 74, 78, 79, 80, and 83. Now, I have to tell you, I am completely old school. I keep my dictionary, okay? Now, the computer is great, but I keep the dictionary. I also want to show you what happens with words in the dictionary as we go through time. Now, hang on. This is the definition of racism for the copyrighted hard copy of Webster's New World Dictionary. And they actually called it racialism, which for them is the same as racism. A doctrine or teaching without scientific support that claims to find racial differences in character, intelligence, etc., that asserts the superiority of one race of another or others, and that seeks to maintain the supposed purity of a race or the races. 2, any program or practice of racial discrimination, segregation, etc., based on racism. Now, in 2020, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defined racialism as a theory that race determines human traits and capabilities, and defines racism as a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capabilities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. You see how the definitions, although they stick kind of close, are now just slightly changed. And I'm leading up to something. Just roll with me. So now, based upon these definitions, yes, Blacks can be racist. When trying to prove this point, the first and most popular example is the Nation of Islam, whose leader, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, has on many occasions referred to Jews as devils, promotes the idea that Blacks need to become self-sufficient and not rely on the white man's handouts for their survival, and takes every opportunity to show the failings of the American dream when it comes to equality for Blacks. It's interesting to note that the Nation of Islam is on the list of hate groups in the United States. I'm guessing that this is because while the Ku Klux Klan swears to uphold Christian values and morality, they were not, and currently are not overtly endorsed by either Protestants or Methodists. But I will say this, at almost every Klan rally during the period of the 1917 to about 1939, 1940, every Klan rally had either a Methodist or a Protestant minister speaking. So the Nation of Islam, while it is a religion, Islam is a religion, they're on the list of hate groups. Isn't that something? And they based it on the definitions. Is it? But now here's the thing. They made racism separate. And then they came up with the other definition that I like, institutional or systemic racism. Now, institutional / systemic racism is a form of racism that is embedded as normal practice within society or an organization. It can lead to such issues as discrimination in criminal justice, employment, housing, healthcare, political party, and education, among other issues. Now, while we can be racist individually and as a collective, we are not and cannot be systemically racist, as our beliefs have no adverse effect upon white people's education, housing, employment, healthcare, or any other social institutions. Plainly put, we are not a threat to white society. That is why, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, the majority of Blacks are prejudiced. Now let's look at the definition of prejudice. A judgment or opinion formed before the facts are known, and you know we all do that. A preconceived idea favorably or more usually unfavorable. A judgment or opinion held in disregard of facts that contradict it. Unreasonable bias. The holding of such judgments or opinions. Suspicion, intolerance, or irrational hatred of other races, creeds, regions, occupations, etc. An injury or harm resulting as from some judgment or action of another or others. Prejudice implies a preconceived and unreasonable judgment or opinion, usually an unfavorable one, marked by suspicion, fear, intolerance, or hatred. Now, and I'm serious, I believe we are prejudiced with some heavy racial tendencies. I'm not going to say we're not racist. We would like to think that, but we keep on crossing that line from prejudice to racist. It is a fine line. I'll give anybody, I don't care what color you are, there is a fine, fine line between being prejudiced and being racist. Now, to be racist, I have to have an effect on you. Black people have no effect on white society, period. We just don't. Now, what I want to do here is address the other comment that was made by Mr. Michael Winters. I'll read it again. Newsflash, the KKK also attacked Catholics and had a strong hatred for the Irish, which, in case you didn't know, are white and in America were treated worse than any Black slave. Now look here. I'm sorry, I'm about to lose all composure. This is the biggest bunch of bull pokey. I'm trying to be polite. I need my video to air. But it's ridiculous. This is racism in its most ignorant form. Moreover, this doesn't even stand up to historical facts. Now, am I saying that the Irish did not suffer having to do menial labor, living in slums, faced harassment from the majority, which was Protestant? and a society that resented their presence, their difference, and their religion? Absolutely not, because it's true. But let me give you the differences that the Irish so conveniently overlook. They came to America from Ireland of their own free damn will. Nobody went to Ireland, rounded them up, captured them, put them in a boat and say, you're going against your will. They chose to come to America. Africans were captured and stolen from their homeland. Now, did the Irish have to come over and work as indentured servants? Absolutely, yes, they did, because that's the only way they could get here. They had to sign contracts with the ship's captain, who sold the contract to anyone in America who would buy it, and they were indentured servants. Africans did not have that option. While the Irish signed themselves into indentured servitude, Africans were sold into slavery and forced into slave labor against their will. They were beaten, they were whipped, and killed at their master's discretion. Were the accommodations on the ships that the Irish sailed on less than stellar, dark, cramped, and unsanitary? Yes, they were. But at least they were not chained together, made to lie in a row where they could barely move. They had the option of walking around. Now, there was a bunch of them on the boat, so they didn't walk far, but they were there of their own accord. And it's also necessary to note a couple more things. The exodus from Ireland started circa 1847. Africans began coming into America in 1619. The Irish were engaged in the political process here in the United States. They voted in enormous numbers, elected Irish Catholic mayors, and rose in social status. So instead of being low class, they moved up to the middle class, as there was a new influx of immigrants coming to America, Eastern European and Asian. The Irish then turned around and treated these immigrants just as badly as they themselves had been treated. To equate English immigrants, the English immigrant experience, with that of the African slave experience, is a way for white supremacists, to disregard and minimize the African slave experience. We don't want to minimize what happened to anybody else. We don't. We look, the facts are there, so we know that there was suffering for the Irish. But how dare the Irish decide, you need to stop complaining. We had it worse than you. I don't remember any Irishman getting a whip to their back. I don't remember any Irishmen saying that their children were sold off as property. I don't remember any Irishmen saying that their families were destroyed at the discretion of their masters, who they were assigned to work for. You didn't have that. It's not the same thing. And this is why, in my personal opinion, Blacks are more prejudiced than racist. Now, I'll admit, we got the tendencies, but I think we are far more prejudiced than we are racist. We have no effect. My point of view, my thought processes, the thought process as the Black community as a whole, has no effect on the systems that white society has in place. And that's all I have for today. I would like to thank all of you for your indulgence. And I want to thank you for attending and listening with an open mind. I love you guys to the moon and back. And hopefully, with everything going 100%, I will be back here on Thursday for the next episode of When Life Needs a Detox. I'm going to speak to you guys real soon. Stay strong, stay healthy, wear your masks, do your social distancing, and we will see each other next week. Bye-bye now.